Hi, my name is Jeremy Taylor. I'm the head nurse practitioner and founder here at Blue Ribbon STEM. So today, I really wanted to go over and express what the differences are between our PRP versus the standard PRP you might get at, say, a chiropractor or some orthopedic office, right? Not all PRP is the same. And a lot of patients don't understand this or don't know this. As a professional, as someone who specializes in this, I wanted the best product I could get. And I wanted to make sure that I could heal my patients and give them the best chance for healing. So this distinction really mattered a lot to me. So let's get into it. Let's do some teaching. So this is a centrifuge. What a centrifuge does is it spins. It spins really fast. You might see this in like your washing machine at home where it washes the clothes. It spins really fast, spins those clothes so that the water goes, as well as the dirt, all the heavy particles, go to the outside where your clothes stay in the middle, right? So it's cleaning the clothes. It's taking that gunk out from the clothes because it's heavier. And the clothes can't fit through those tiny holes, whereas water and the gunk can. So this centrifuge, it actually is meant to spin really fast, just like the washing machine. Only this one spins even faster. It is measured by RPMs, rotations per minute, right? You may have heard the term centrifugal force. That comes from this. It's a centrifuge, right? So what PRP is we draw your blood from your body. And with that blood, it has a whole lot of other things than just blood. You know, that's such a general term. Inside our blood are red blood cells, white blood cells. Those are ones that most people know about. There's also urea, there's also platelets, there's also plasma, which is the fluid that the platelets, the red blood cells, white blood cells, what it all flows in. There's also vitamins, there's sugars, there's so many things in the blood. It's just we can't see them, right? Well, we want to harness the healing parts of your blood. One of those major healing factors is found within the platelets themselves. But how do we get the platelets without getting all the other stuff, all the stuff that gets in the way of healing or causes inflammation, right? Well, we do that through spinning it, right? So we draw your blood, we put it in the centrifuge, and it spins really fast, pulling all of those heavier, denser materials in your blood to the bottom. It separates those from the lighter materials like platelets, or the lightest material, which would be the volume that it floats in, the plasma. And so once we do that, it separates and you get different layers in your blood. Now this is just water, so you're not gonna see the layers here, but usually you'll see a dense collection of red blood cells. Those are the heaviest. That's where the iron attaches to your blood, is on the red blood cells. So it makes sense with iron attached and it being a larger molecule that your blood looks red because it is larger and denser, and also why it would go to the very bottom, right? Because it pulls that centrifuge force. Next, after the red blood cells, you'll see a layer of white. This white, you guessed it, is the white blood cells, right? It looks kind of cloudy. Then very small amount of thin layer, you'll see the platelets. Now that layer is what we're going for. And then above that, you'll see all the serum, all the fluid, that yellow kind of amberish plasma. Now what PRP stands for is platelet-rich plasma. So there's a rich abundance of these platelets that we pull from that platelet layer, and then we pull them with the plasma. And so we have, as a result, all those platelets, all those healing factors, right, suspended in a fluid of plasma, which is not foreign to your body. It's natural. It's part of your body. Your body isn't going to reject it like it would other medications or foreign substances. And we leave the stuff that isn't going to help, right? The red blood cells, the white blood cells, those aren't going to help with your healing. So this is your typical everyday centrifuge. This is the one you might see in other offices as well, or one that looks kind of similar to this, right? So you can tell right away that it's a machine, it locks, it opens, it closes, and it spins. This dial says how fast it spins. Really, it says how long it spins, not really how fast it spins. So that's about as basic as you can get. Now, I want to show you what we use. This is The gold standard M-Site Sapphire centrifuge. This is the top centrifuge in the market today. It provides the highest concentrations of platelets in plasma that is known for now, right? I wanted the best. I want you to have the best. This is the best. You can tell right away the difference. So first off, this has a much faster rotor. I can choose the different speeds at which this spins. Being able to adjust the speeds gives me a way to adjust the treatment, right? It's not a standard one-size-fits-all treatment that can only spin at a certain speed. It's something I can adapt, right? Next, you'll see the difference between the containers. What's the major difference? Well, right away you see this one's bigger, right? This one's smaller. This one can hold up to 60 milliliters of your blood. That's a lot of blood. Well, guess what? The more blood we have, the more platelets we have, right? That's the source. So if we can get 60 milliliters of your blood, there's 60 milliliters worth of platelets in there, which means we have more. We can draw more. We can do a higher dose. We can get more healing factors for you. This one is about a 10 milliliter. Usually they get about 8 milliliters of blood in here before they spin it. So let's do the math, right? Let's say they get 10 milliliters, which they won't, but let's say they do get 10 milliliters of blood in this one, and this one gets 60. How many treatments with this is it gonna take to get one treatment with this? You guessed right. It's gonna take 6 treatments. No wonder you go to your chiropractor and they say, yeah, we can do PRP. You're gonna have to come back 6 times. We're gonna have to draw your blood 6 times. Or maybe they draw 2 vials of this. Then they only make you come back 3 times. And you have to still draw 3 times. With this, you bypass all of that. Not only that, this is your standard vial for blood draws, but it's not really meant for PRP. This actually was produced by a lot of labs for blood work. And you've seen that at your primary care, at other doctors' offices. They'll put blood inside of different vials. This is one of those vials. So this has inside it already an anticoagulant. Now, not all anticoagulants are equal. Not all of them are the same. This one has a set measure of anticoagulant, which means I can't change how much anticoagulant is in this tube. It comes shipped and produced with the volume that it has. Now, if I were to try to puncture it and draw some of it out, this is vacuum sealed. The vacuum would be gone, and that compromises the integrity of the sample, right? This does not come with any kind of anticoagulant prepared within it. This is water. I use this as a counterbalance when I spin. That's important to balance the centrifuge so that it spins at its optimal potential. Now, this doesn't have the anticoagulant in it beforehand. I put the anticoagulant in. I am the one who dictates how much anticoagulant goes in. I get to dictate what anticoagulant goes in. If you've gotten PRP in the past at a different doctor's office, you may have felt a lot of pain. And you're not the only one. A lot of people associate PRP as being a very painful procedure, like 8 out of 10 pain. That's not because of the PRP itself. That's not because of your blood or your platelets. Some offices will say, oh, that's because your body associates it with feeling pain, because anytime your blood sends these factors there, you're in pain. Or they might say it's an inflammatory response, and it's just your body's reaction to having a large concentration of these platelets. That's not true. That anticoagulant is the biggest culprit for that stinging pain. The fact that there's too much, and they can't change it. They can't adapt how much is in there. They can't change what kind of anticoagulant it is, which actually makes it so certain people with blood disorders can't do this because they're already on anticoagulant medication. Now with this one, I dictate, and I make sure I use the right anticoagulant. I make sure I use the right amount, and we make sure that you leave this office with very little pain. Most of my patients say, oh yeah, I felt that needle go in and I felt a sense of fullness, which makes sense. We're adding fluid to that joint, so they sense that fullness there. But scale of 0 to 10, their pain is usually about a 1 or a 2. Very different from 8 to 9. Next, you'll see the differences in the motors, right? These motors are different. This one has a much lower capacity to spin. It also has a whole bunch of these holes in it. All of this is because lots of times you need more holes to create a larger sample because these tubes are so small, right? This one, I don't need all that. I have enough holes already with just 4, right? 2 for a counterbalance. If needed, I could counterbalance with your own blood. You know, that's a possibility. I could use all 4, but we don't need to. There's no need for that, right? You will get enough PRP with just 1. This can spin at a much faster rate. This one spins at a much faster rate. So if we were really to establish, in colloquial terms, the differences, right? Let's use a metaphor like steak, right? I love steak. A lot of people love steak, but this centrifuge, the PRP that comes from it, that style, that kind, that quality, I might equate with a 6-ounce sirloin from, let's say, some chain like Texas Roadhouse or something, right? The cook, they kind of overcooked it a bit, so it's well done, but it's still a steak, right? There's still nutrients there. There's still the flavor of steak there. It's still a steak. So they can still say this is PRP, right? Legally, too. They can say it's PRP. In order to be qualified as PRP, you need to have at least 250,000 platelets in a sample. So this one can do that. This one usually gets anywhere from 250 to 500,000 platelets in a sample. Very low amount. It sounds like a lot, it's very little, right? Now let me show you why that's very little. This I would equate more to the filet mignon at your favorite steakhouse, right? The best one in town. The one that you can't even get reservations for. That's how incredible it is. This served with an herb butter, you know, all the good stuff. So why is it like that? Well, let me tell you the platelet count. Whereas this one barely qualifies as PRP, getting about 250 to 500,000 platelets. This one gets on average anywhere from 9.7 billion platelets to, they've even done a study that goes up to 14 billion platelets. Now, you're not going to get 14 billion every time. There are other factors that determine how many platelets you get. But to have a low of 9.7 billion platelets compared to 500,000, it's a no-brainer, right? It really is. This one, most providers will charge maybe $150 to $400 for this kind of PRP. I don't like that. I don't think that's worth that money for you, you know? It's cheaper than what we do. We actually charge $1,000 for this high quality 60 milliliter PRP. But let's do the math again, because I love the math, right? The math proves that we're better. So let's do the math for this. Let's say you need 3 treatments. Remember, to do the same amount of blood, the same potential for platelets, it's going to take at least 3 office visits where they draw 2 vials of that blood, right? So let's say it's $200 per office visit, so that's going to be $600. At the end of the day, you're going to get about 500,000 platelets per treatment. So 3 treatments, that's going to be about 1,500,000 platelets. You're going to get poked 3 times if they're a good blood drawer, right? They aren't always. You're going to get poked 3 times at least. You're going to get 1,500,000 platelets, which can heal. Not well, but it can, right? And it's going to hurt. It's going to sting, right? Or you can get this one, right? Oh, by the way, for $600. Or you can get this one, where I do 60 milliliters. You come in 1 time. You get poked 1 time. There's no pain associated, or very little pain associated, like 1 to 2 out of 10, with the actual injection. You get, let's say, 10 billion platelets, and it costs you $1,000. If you get our special, actually, it costs less. So that's pretty incredible. Our specials, sometimes we do 20% off, depends on the season, but if you come at the right time, it can be $800. Now do you see the difference? Now do you see the difference between what is blue ribbon and what is vulgar, mundane, what is pedestrian? Yes, I'm using a lot of different synonyms here, but what is more common? What you'll get at your common office? It's the difference between someone who's specialized in this versus someone who is doing it as a side project, right? At Blue Ribbon STEM, we want you to get the best. We want you to heal and have the best potential for healing. We provide the best treatments in the best way, the filet mignon of PRP. We invite you to come down and experience it.